I'm Adam Smeester. Welcome to Smeester's Corner. Today we're going to be talking about anger, understanding it, and how to handle it. So there's three things that we're going to cover with anger. First thing is its destructive power. Second is its goodness, the good side. And three, why it goes wrong. Okay, so we're going to be covering those three topics. All right, number one. A lot of people know this, but let's just put it into perspective. It's destructive power. Okay, they call it the dynamite of the soul. Okay, it can destroy, it can disintegrate things. It can destroy you, not just other people. It can hurt you. It can hurt your body. It can pulverize your body, because once you get angry, your cortisol levels go up, which is your stress hormone. And then when those go up, the worse you feel. It causes anxiety. It can cause sadness. It can lead to heart disease. It can disintegrate communities. It can destroy relationships, because words can wound. It disintegrates your wisdom. People with bad tempers make bad decisions, and your relationships suffer, and you can't see things clearly. And you'll say, oh, you can't talk to me like that. Why'd you talk to me like that? Or why'd you say that? And the other person's thinking, that's not what I meant. That's not what I said. That's not how things went down. You have a misperception of things when you're angry. You don't see things clearly. Anger is also powerful. There's some ideologies out there that rely on anger to make people angry so that they do things to try to change stuff. But the use of anger is how those belief systems spread and thrive, and they tend to have more power the more angry believers are. All of this can cause problems in your life. But a lot of times people who are angry, like some people are just generally angry. They just feel anger all the time. But instead of admitting that, you will blame your anger on other people. Instead of admitting that you have a problem or that your anger is a problem, you'll blame other people, which causes you more anger. That's the addictive side of anger. So some people look for things to be angry about because it's addicting, because it gives them a sense of power or purpose or whatever. Maybe your anger isn't explosive. Maybe you get withdrawn, or maybe you just kind of silently seethe and you tell people you're fine, but you're just sitting there angry, and internally your top's blowing internally all the time. Or maybe you're just indifferent to things. Maybe you say, I don't care. You just walk away, I don't care. That's sometimes the worst, when people know that you don't care. That's the worst kind of hate, because you don't care about them. And there are times that you shouldn't care about certain things, but when people think that you don't care about them and you're indifferent to them, that can really hurt. Okay, so that was anger's power. Now let's talk about anger's goodness. There's slow anger and there's quick anger. The quick anger usually results in bad situations. That's the kind we've been talking about, the powerful one. Good anger is more slow. Sometimes you should be angry. So we're not saying you should never be angry, or whenever you get angry, it's a problem. You should get angry at certain things, but you should be slower to it, because then it's probably more reasonable. If you don't get angry, then chances are you probably don't love a lot of things, because anger happens when something that you love is threatened. So if you're never angry, maybe you don't really care about a lot of things. And that can be a problem. That also depends on your definition of threat. What you love is being threatened, so I'm going to get angry about it. Well, what's the threat? So take a step back sometimes and ask yourself, would a reasonable person be angry about this? Would a healthy person be threatened by this? The reason that this is the healthy type of anger is because it's slower. The reason it's slower is because it's a response to something. It's not proactive anger, which is a lot of times the hot, short anger. A lot of times your response is actually a proactive something, because you can see where this is going to go and what's going to happen down the road, and the thing down the road might be threatened that's not being threatened right now. So it's a proactive response, even though it feels like you're reacting to something. So you also have to figure out, what is it I'm getting angry about? Like, what's being threatened? Is it something down the road that I think might be threatened due to this conversation, or is it happening right now? And also, slow anger isn't meant to punish. That's why it's slow. You're not trying to punish people. You're not trying to hurt people with it. You're just responding in a healthy way. It's a defense. But the question is, what are you defending? Well, it's what you love, but you have to figure out what is that. All right, so that brings us to number 3, when anger goes wrong. Anger goes wrong when it's disproportionate to the cause of the anger. So whatever it is that made you angry, if your anger is disproportionate to it, like at a higher level than what they did, that's when it goes wrong. So say, for example, someone made a rude comment to you, and then you're trying to fight them. That is disproportionate. So here's something to think about. The root of the anger is what you love. Is your love for that thing absolute? Because if your love for that thing is absolute, then your anger over it, your defense of it, is going to be disproportional probably. So say, for example, you broke up with somebody, or somebody broke up with you, and that person was your absolute reason for living. Well, your response might be to take your own life. That is disproportionate because what you loved was your absolute. So don't let good things become absolute things. You can love stuff, and it can be really important to you, but don't let it be your absolute, because when that's threatened, you will go crazy, and you will feel out of control, and you'll probably be out of control, even if it's just out of control in your head. So we don't want our anger to go wrong. We don't want it to be disordered anger. So how do we do that? All right, well, you got to think a little bit when you're angry, which is hard. But even afterwards, you can think about these things. What is the cause of the anger? Is it really what that person said, or did they just threaten who you were? Like, they called you stupid, and that's a threat because you don't think you're stupid. You want to be really smart, so that's a threat to how you think you should be. Did they just threaten you? So ask yourself, what's the cause? What's the cause of the anger? Because what you might be getting angry about might not be really what you're angry about. Then once you've realized what the cause is your anger proportional? Maybe the answer is no. Maybe yes. But are you getting too angry? For some people, maybe you're not getting angry enough. And then what's the goal of the anger? Are you trying to set things straight? Are you trying to rectify something? Or are you trying to wreck something? Okay, so what's the purpose of the anger? If it's healthy, loving anger, then that's a precise anger. You're angry about a specific thing that you want to try to rectify. Okay, if it's disordered anger, you're trying to control people or crush something, destroy something. You're trying to punish people, make people feel bad because you feel bad. So how can anger be healthy? Get angry. Then you got to forgive the person, which is really hard. But then once you've forgiven them, you still fix the problem with them, because forgiveness doesn't mean you just let it go. You rectify the problem. You address it. So in the last piece of this is, how do you heal from anger? Because maybe you're just a really resentful, angry person, and you know that it's a problem, but you don't know what to do about it. So what to do about it? Okay, 3 things. Admit it, analyze it, and then transform it. So I'm going to talk about each 3 real quick. So number 1, admit your anger. You just got to admit it. Like, the anger comes from you. They didn't make you this way. You chose to get that angry because something that you love is being threatened. So you have to admit that. Okay, that's your anger's on you. And once you admit it, then you can figure out what the cause of it is. But a lot of times people spend their whole life just trying to deny it, so they don't even know what the cause is, because they didn't even get that far, because they won't even admit it. Then analyze it. So what was that thing? Once you figure out that thing in step 1, now you can go to step 2, analyze it, and you have to ask yourself, all right, was that cause worth it? Analyze it. Because your anger is basically a decision. You've decided that whatever it is the cause, whatever it is you're getting angry about, was a big deal. You're deciding that. And so your anger is in proportion to how big of a deal you think the cause is. So if you think it's a big deal, then you're going to get more angry. If you don't think it's a big deal, then you're going to get less angry. But you have to analyze it and ask yourself, is the cause really that big of a deal? And in the future, maybe you see that you don't need to get that angry. Maybe you'll kind of figure that out before the anger comes. So ask yourself, what is this big thing that I care so much about that's causing me this amount of anger? What are you defending? What do you love? Is it your pride? Is it your ego that's being hurt and being threatened, and that's where the anger is coming from? Or is it that you've been stabbed in the back or rejected or something, and it's just pain, it's sadness, but it's coming out as anger? And the last step is real quick, but it's really hard. You have to transform it, which means you address the cause of the anger. So maybe you sit down and have a talk with the person. Okay, it doesn't matter how you think they're going to react. You need to address it for you, but you address it without paying back. So you're not addressing it to punish them or make them feel guilty or whatever. You're just simply laying out the facts. This is what you said. This is how I felt. Seems to be the problem in our relationship. So you're not attacking the person, you're attacking the problem. There's a huge difference, because if you start attacking a person, they're going to get defensive, and then you address it, it's going to go nowhere. And you can start it with, I just need you to know this. Just hear me out. This is what happened. This is how I felt. This is how I'm kind of dealing with it. If they don't want to respond, they don't have to respond. Then you just let them know. But that will help heal the anger. Sometimes a lot of the anger comes from people that you can't address it with. So maybe the person's not in your life anymore, or maybe they're gone. So what do you do in those situations? Well, you can talk through it with a friend. You still need to figure out what the problem is and analyze it and do all that stuff. But you can talk about it with a friend, just get it out. Or you can write that person a letter, not intending to mail it to them or anything. Just write out your feelings, write out the problem and the cause and what you're defending and all of that sort of thing. But you got to get it out. Otherwise, that anger is just going to sizzle. And it's going to come out eventually. And it's going to come out in ways that you didn't expect, on people that you didn't want it to come out on. You're not going to be in control. It's going to happen. You can't just bury it. You have to deal with it. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.